Okay, so uh, have not recorded a video in the last several days. Just been really busy. As far as Nofap is concerned, it's day 11, so there's no reset or any of that sort of business. I got past the week mark and heading towards 2 weeks, but I've just been really busy. After I recorded that last video and uploaded that, I just focused on powering through as much as the C# boot camp course I was taking on Udemy. Got about halfway through. I'm planning on finishing that up this weekend. But this week it's basically been this focus in on the automated liquid handling robot certification course I signed up for. And today was the second to last day, so I've gone through Tuesday, Wednesday, now Thursday. Tomorrow is basically a half day and we finish up there. And after that, I pay for the course and I get that certification and I can tack that onto my LinkedIn, onto my resume. What else? And then the other big thing has been that I actually got called back by the recruiter. Official start date is supposed to be the 21st. They gotta finally sign off on everything. I'm sure there was probably some stuff related to kind of like why I left to begin with, from the first time around, why I wanted to come back, but probably also something had to do with sort of recent market conditions and perhaps like some stuff on the side of the business. They were kind of like waiting to pull the trigger, so to speak, to hire me again, to rehire me. And perhaps hire the other sort of batch of employees that they were thinking of bringing on. So that's at least some good news. That would mean at least 6 months of employment. Now obviously I can take care. I can keep the lights on at home, so to speak. I can be paying off some more debts, which is the big sort of the main focus, financially speaking, beyond just survival, is taking care of that sort of stuff, so I can get beyond survival. What else? But yeah, so this week should be like I finish it up, should be a real life-changing, career-changing sort of thing. I've just been really focused in on that, focusing in on what's in front of me. Before I really go on to that sort of next, like what am I going to work on next sort of thing, I'm just trying to knock out the things I'm working on right now. I have like this, this whole list of courses I bought on Udemy. I've gone through, I'm basically at the halfway mark of those. I get all of those knocked out. I would have sort of the basic fundamentals for this whole list of like programming languages and some software packages. Beyond that, I think if I took any more courses there, I'd probably focus on getting like a sound basis in SolidWorks, and then I'd probably Loopback, or what do you want to call it, like loop back to some of those programming languages and try to like pick up courses that are like with specific applications, like unit testing or some sort of .NET framework, something or other, which I'd have to figure out like what exactly that would look like. I already know I'm gonna sign up for like a JavaScript and like a JSON course eventually. Most of the stuff is because like I've seen some of the methods that have been written, like some of the software that's been written for some of these liquid handling robot systems, and like they incorporate that stuff into it. So it's like, okay, I might as well learn some of that. But like I said, for right now, it's like I've been focusing on, like I said, what's in front of me, and what's in front of me in part is taken from that list from that article I've been going off of, basically basing my approach off of. And stuff I've kind of added to that has been based off of again, like looking at some of these methods or some of these programs that have been written for these robots, and then going, okay, well, it looks like they're referring to this or that, incorporating these other things into that, and adding that to my list of stuff to learn, because there is a lot more than you might think. So a lot more software engineering stuff to it, than they really taught in undergrad for my degree. We did get some exposure to stuff, but it was sort of like, not, sadly, not as industry focused or industry relevant. It's kind of the stuff you sort of figure out once you get out there and you go, okay, like, here's the grunt work I can do, and if I really want an actual, like, engineering job, here's the stuff you gotta go above and beyond for. The whole, like, what do they call it? Not consecutive, but I guess incremental credentialism. Like, okay, you got your bachelor's, maybe you even got a master's, but you need to be certified in this, credentialed in that. It's just kind of part of how it is right now. Especially since, depending upon which specific industry you go in, there's just stuff there that, I don't know if they could even really, even do you justice in an undergrad program trying to teach you that sort of stuff. Like, it would require for one thing the professors to be, like, in touch with the industry, really heavily in touch with them, and then, like, to be able to shape their program to fit those needs. And part of that would also mean, like, taking some of their revenue stream and, like, devoting that to, let's say, buying some automated liquid handling robot system, and then, like, getting a training thing set up for, like, that system, or formatting lessons for that. And they probably would need to pay even more money to the companies themselves, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's kind of like, they focus heavily on the theory, a little bit on the application, but after that it's kind of like, okay, we've done our job, now it's time for you to go out into the world and figure your stuff out, that sort of thing. So I'm doing that as my part. I'm figuring this stuff out, because a lot of times you don't, I want to be an engineer, I want to be a chemical engineer, or a biochemical engineer, or electrical engineer, or whatever, but you don't necessarily, like, have an actual grasp of, okay, this is what an engineer actually does, and you get out there, you get the idea of it, then you gotta go and pursue whatever it is that it takes to really land that, that engineering your job title, engineering job. So that's what I'm really focusing in on, putting my time and effort towards that. Trying not to daydream too much about what life would be like, when I cross that threshold and I get that 6-figure job, and I'm, debt-free and making all this money and all the things I can do, and et cetera, et cetera. Though sometimes it's a bit, kind of helpful or inspirational to kind of do that sort of stuff, and, envision what you would, be doing if you had that kind of money. But yeah, it's really been my focus, for the last, like, several days. Not much else, really. After I get done with these, class days, I typically just, like, I try and sleep. Sometimes I watch some stuff on YouTube, some podcasts, or listen to some podcasts, or I have times where I'll listen to some sort of story series, or maybe I'll watch some camping videos, because again, it's sort of it's relaxing to enough of an extent, and it kind of gives that sort of motivation. Okay, this is kind of like what I'm working towards, that I can go and do those things, that I could go and take a week off, or take a few days off, and you know, even just a weekend, like where it's just like, you know, a couple days camping trip, camping excursion, you know, off into the mountains, off into the woods, and just sort of like be out there like that, and not have to be cooped up in my room or stuck in the house or stuck in the city, you know, trying to keep that sort of dream alive. And it does help to a certain extent, you know, sort of like, okay, like I said, you know, this is why I'm doing all the things I'm doing, so sooner rather than later I can be there. And again, that's a lot of the reason why I'm so focused on getting out of debt, because I know with the way things have been, what I've gotten myself into, if you will, the position I got myself into, you know, whether or not like a lot of it has been exacerbated by the influence of others, but really like so much of it is like, okay, I'm in debt, and when you're in debt, you really can't just get up and do whatever the heck you want to do, you know, go out wherever. You gotta like weigh these different options and go like, okay, how is this going to affect my ability to pay these bills or so. But when you don't have those, and you know, let's say you got really cheap rent, you know, you can live off cheap food or whatever, it's like you got a lot more freedom. And I think that's really like, you know, the important thing there. Freedom and good health. And you know, it reminds me of, you know, some of that, like I think Tim Ferriss pointed this out in one of his books. I think it's a 4-Hour Work Week. It was that like the reason people want so much money is not so they can just have the money, or so they can like, you know, buy lots of you know, lots of stuff with it, but it's more so like the freedom aspect. Like if you're wealthy, you got all that money, like there's a lot that you can do, and there's a lot of stuff that you don't have to do. When you're in debt, when you're broke, it's sort of like, okay, well, you know, it's almost like, what can I do that's not going to cost me money? What can I do that's not going to negatively impact upon my ability to make the money that I know is just going to disappear out of my bank account to pay all these bills, you know? And I'm trying to make the most of the fact that at least right now where I'm at, even with my sort of like many health scares or concerns or the stresses and the strains I face and things of that nature, that relatively speaking, you know, I have a lot of opportunity right now. And you know, being in your mid-30s, decent health, with the educational background I have, at least right now, and my career background, that sort of thing, even at its worst, I still have a lot of opportunity to do a lot of things right now that hopefully, if I take care of that stuff and things do, you know, work out as planned, obviously, like, you know, there's a certain amount of variability and uncertainty in this all, but if I do my due diligence right now, and all other things being equal, you know, hopefully, you know, in 10-15 years I can look back and go, you know, that, you know, say that I'm happy I did that sort of stuff when I had the opportunity to, so that you know, I could build a basis for a far better future, you know. So anyways, I think the last comment I saw is from Alex, and as far as YouTube blocking is concerned, I did go look that up after, you know, you left that comment, because you can't block a person per se, but you can block, apparently, and I don't know if the little guide I saw was, you know, outdated or not, but At least when I saw it, you can block the channel account that they're using to comment. But obviously, like, if they know about your channel to begin with, it doesn't take that much effort for someone, if they really are like motivated to do that. It doesn't take that much effort for them to create another account and then go back and, you know, if they're harassing you or whatever, to go and, you know, leave more of those comments on your channel. So I guess the best thing is prevention, which is just basically keep your channel secret as best you can. I mean, obviously, if somehow your channel like just takes off and, you know, you're suddenly at, you know, 10,000, 100,000, a million subscribers, like, yeah, the likelihood is somebody's gonna find out about you, and it's just, you know, it is what it is at that point. But until that point, at least, you know, best thing is prevention. You know, don't be going and telling people, hey, you know, I got this channel on YouTube and here's the name, or to put it under an easily discoverable, you know, name. I mean, mine right now, I mean, I think somebody would probably have to be like literally like looking over my shoulder as I checked my channel on my laptop for them to, you know, oh, this is the name of his channel, you know, that sort of thing. You know, given that I'm not that well known for this channel, and I haven't, I've made it a point to like not mention in detail or by name, hey, this is my channel. I mean, I have mentioned that I had a channel or a couple channels, but I never really like gave the name of the channel, you know. I never gave that away, in part because, you know, I just wouldn't want people to find out about it, mostly because this channel has just been like, okay, here I'm gonna vlog about my life, and, you know, predominantly it's been Nofap related, but given that as I've gone on this whole Nofap thing, Nofap journey, Nofap process, whatever, I've had to ask myself a lot of other questions that would seem to not be related to the topic, but, you know, tangentially or ancillary, you know, ancillarily related, however you want to put it. I've ended up getting into topics that, if some people were to find out that I was talking about this thing or that person or whatever, like, it could complicate my life. Let's just put it that way. Not that it's necessarily controversial type stuff, but just, yeah. So that's why I practice this, you know, preventative measure of just like not mentioning it to anybody who I would think would be either an issue themselves or would like pass it on to somebody else who would be an issue. You know, in other words, them being an issue insofar as like they would find out about it, go to this channel and start, you know, going through my videos, leaving, you know, harassing comments, that sort of thing. Because honestly, like, I feel like maybe this is where I'm at in life right now, but I still need something of a space where I can, you know, like I've said in the past, like, speak honestly about a lot of stuff. Because the majority of the people I have to speak to, even if they had the best of intentions, like a lot of their perspective on things isn't gonna like be helpful, because they're thinking about things from, let's say, the perspective of a generation or two ago, you know, or they're thinking of it from like sort of an angle of like, I don't really want to hear what this guy's complaints, I don't want to hear about his life, but I'm gonna stick around here for a bit, because if I give the appearance that I care, maybe I can get something out of this guy, or, you know, whatever the case may be. Or as an experience I've had in the past, they'll use whatever I say against me. Like, I remember I made this mistake, actually a couple times. I I mean, eventually I learned, but I made this mistake of trusting the wrong person with some, personal information back then. And I'm not talking about anybody on this channel who's been on here, but, people I went to school with. And then they used that against me, either because it was like, oh, they were, as it turns out, my competition that I didn't know of at that point, or they were like buddies with the competition, and they were almost like spies in some sense, and I didn't kind of like get, that whole thing. I hadn't been in a situation like that before, so it was a real like tough and rough learning experience. But I see myself as needing or requiring or being assisted with having a space like this where I can talk honestly about these things, and I don't have to like be concerned that it's gonna be one of those folks. So, while I could, technically speaking, block any channel that somebody might use, I think at that point, even if I could block every single channel, it would almost be like the gig would be up, at that point. And I would have to migrate to some other channel, and I've like, I've put a lot into this channel. There have been times where I wanted to like build it up and see it really blossom and take off and become some big thing, but at the same time, not really. Ironically enough, this is the one that has the most subscribers on it, but of the ones that I do have, mostly because I haven't really worked on the other one. I've let that one sit there and stagnate. But anyways, I don't know, I don't got much else to add. I want to just head back in and try and unwind, and then go to sleep, and be up for tomorrow for the last day of that course. And I could just pay for that, get that certification. That big thing will be taken care of, and I'll be able to like put that on there and be like, okay, got through that, what's next. So anyways, excuse me, I will see you folks around. Thanks for watching, thanks for the support, thanks for the feedback, food for thought, etc. So anywho, take it easy, stay strong, and see you around. Bye-bye.